and strings are kind of small, so the hammers are very small. The whole mechanism of the key and hammer mechanism that plays the notes in the low end has a lot more mass to it, so it has more resistance and more weight than the high end. The graded hammer action on the MOX 8 simulates that same thing. So it's a graded hammer action, and we've never had one that, you know, is just that lightweight and portable. So that's really exciting. So, and we have a number of different grand pianos in here. I mean, acoustic piano voices, you know, a rock and roll thing. Little bright thing, some layers, you know, some and you know, of course, the piano and string. So you don't have to worry about that. You just need to go through the voices and see what's here. But when you want to find things on the MOX, you use this button right here called Category Search. I was hoping that the brochure would help us a little look at some of these buttons because you can't really see.
But it might run short on some of the MOX brochures.
Yeah. But just anyway, to the right of the screen here is a category search button, and then over here you get to go through all the categories. The next category I want to talk about is the electric key piano category, Fender Rhodes piano. You know, it's a very popular sound. Several generations of Fender Rhodes kinds of sample voices. And one of the things that we think really makes our voices sound so natural and authentic and expressive is the effects processor. The effects processors in the MOX are what we call virtual circuit models. So this very famous Japanese engineer has designed effects processing. He's gone into the vintage stomp boxes and the things that the guys used back in the day when we were listening to sounds like that's a little stomp box that was originally designed for a guitar, I think, but Richard T. thought it would be cool to put his Fender Rhodes through that, and it became his signature sound. And our Dr. K, in Japan has gone in and designed a digital circuitry to simulate the very parameters of that small phaser code. And we've done that with flangers and phasers and delays and compressors and reverbs and all of these things that, you know, when you listen to that acoustic piano, you heard a voice that was the simulation of the internal soundboard of the piano. So I play, right? And when I push the pedal down, you can hear the inside of the piano, just like an acoustic piano. That's a soundboard simulation reverb algorithm that was designed for that very purpose. But we're here on the electric pianos, which we have dozens and dozens of them. There's another type of piano that you might be familiar with. Let's see, what was that? There's just a ton of those voices in here. Now, there's another one in another category of keyboard sounds that we have a lot of fun with. That is the, you might recognize, now we also have, we have models. So my pedal now becomes a wah-wah. So we have all the kinds of expressive keyboard sounds that you could ever imagine for needing for any particular musical situation. Let's see, what's next? Oh, we got anybody know the Hammond B3?
B3, yeah.
Are you familiar with the way that thing works? Do you know about the percussion on the Hammond? You hear what happens? You know, that the Hammond percussion is monophonic in its behavior, which means when you play, it'll play all the notes that you play at once. But if you happen to play one note that has percussion, the others don't have it. Right? Can you hear that? Everybody hear that? That's just the kind of detail, the kind of links that we've gone to make these sounds as authentic, as realistic, as expressive, and as musical as possible. And then, of course, you've got to have Leslie. So many organ sounds in here, it's great. I cheated. You don't ever have a sustained pedal on the voice. Sorry. You know. So we got all the organs we would need. What else do we? Any types of things that you?
Vibe.
What's that?
Vibraphone.
Vibraphone.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll get there. I'm gonna just go in order. We'll get to the vibraphones in a second. So we had a few guitar players in the crowd, and you know, you guys always tend to make fun of us keyboard players when we try to play guitar.
That's right. That's right.
You know, well, those days are kind of over. And I'll show you why. And that's a classical guitar. That's just one of many. Now, we also have one of the most important musical making idea factories in the MOX and in the whole Motif line is the arpeggiator. Everybody know what an arpeggiator is? They've been around for a long time. I bought a synthesizer in 1982 that had a really cool arpeggiator. But, you know, it did up, it did down, it did up and down. You know, that's what it did. That was the arpeggiator that I had here. We have now, we have arpeggiator patterns in the MOX that were actually created with the actual instruments that they're intended to arpeggiate. And let's see if we can. If you're not available, we can do without you. I mean, it's always better to have the real thing, but you know, these are just some of the kinds of you know, things we've never really been able to do before. And we'll get a little bit more into that in a few minutes. Let's talk about some basses. I had a few bass players in here. Let's see about this one. Let's see. These voices that we call mega voices. And in mega voices, we have sampled things that you normally wouldn't play musically, but it's part of the voice that you've heard. Let's see if we can find it here. So when you hear those kinds of things going on, it kind of tricks your ear into thinking that this may be a real bass. So that's an example of a mega voice using a bass. We have done mega voices with guitars, as you heard some of those strum things. We've done mega voices with flutes, woodwinds, strings, everything that we could create, and we'll talk about why mega voices are important in just a second.